Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm doing a Relinquished deck profile. So I'm really excited to see you guys because this is actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Mimi. And the really cool thing about this deck is Relinquished was actually my very first card, along with Mimi's very first card, which is super cool to be able to build a deck based around it. And definitely comment down below what your very first card was. I've changed up this deck a lot since my previous build, and it has all sorts of amazing combos, and I'm super excited to show you guys all those changes in this video. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name in the description of a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test stands. And definitely give Mimi some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this one guys. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Relinquished. This card is an insanely powerful card that basically has the ability that you can equip an opponent's monster to this card, and it gains the attack and defense of that opponent's monster, which is an insanely powerful effect, and it's super easy to ritual summon to your side of the field because it's a level 1 monster. We then play 3 copies of Millennium Eyes Illusionist. Millennium Eyes Illusionist is a great card for Relinquished because it has the ability that you can quick effect discard this card and then target an effect monster your opponent controls and equip that target to an Eyes Restrict fusion monster or a Relinquished that you control as if it was equipped by that monster's effect. And if an Eyes Restrict fusion monster or a Relinquished is special summoned, add this card from your graveyard to your hand, and it's not optional, which is a really interesting thing that it specifically says it's not optional. You have to grab this card back from the graveyard to your hand. We then play a single copy of Golden Eye Idol. This card is a really good one of. You don't really need any more than a single copy of this card. This card is really neat because it actually does count as the of the idol, the Thousand Eyes Idol, which is kind of a neat card. It has the ability that you can quick effect activate this effect that you can look at your opponent's hand, and also this card's name becomes Thousand Eyes Idol until the end phase. And if this card is banished or sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target an effect monster your opponent controls and equip that effect monster to an Eyes Restrict or Relinquished monster you control as if it was equipped to that monster by its effect. And then while equipped by that effect, that monster gains attack equal to the attack of the equipped monster, which is a pretty good effect to be able to just give it that extra boost. We then play 3 copies of Tour Guide from the Underworld. This card is a great normal summon in the deck, and one of the ones that you're going to be normal summoning all the time in this deck because this card comes in very, very handy. And the targets you're actually going to be using for this card is going to be your copy of Sangan. Sangan is really good because it has the ability, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to add 1 monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand, but you cannot activate cards or effects of cards with the same name for the rest of the turn, which is not that big of a deal because you're basically just setting up for the rest of the turn. We then play another target for our tour guide, which is going to be a single copy of the Phantom King. This card is really good for the deck because it is a Fiend tuner monster that you can actually special summon off the copy of Tour Guide to go in for Needle Fiber, which is a super important card for this particular deck. But I really, really like playing this card in the deck because it helps out a lot to be able to just normal summon out the Tour Guide and go for that really, really insane play to be able to go in for Needle Fiber using that normal summon of a Tour Guide. We then play 2 copies of the Punk Z-Man. Z-Man is a really good card for this deck because basically it has the ability to pay 600 life points to add a Punk monster from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect, especially when you add cards like your Foxy Tune from your deck to your hand to then be able to special summon out your copy of Madam Spider. This card is absolutely insane, which you guys will see in the test hands for this deck, but this card is just so good in this build. We then play a single copy of Madam Spider. Madam Spider has the ability that you pay 600 life points to add a Punk trap card from your deck to your hand, which is a pretty good effect to be able to add the exact Punk trap card that you need from your deck to your hand, which is always going to be your copy of Dangerous Kaboo, which is a monster negate for this deck. We then play a single copy of Foxy Tune. Foxy Tune is here because you're going to be able to special summon out your copy of your Z-Man, and then once you summon out your copy of that card, you're going to be able to search the deck for your copy of Foxy Tune, send any card from your hand to the graveyard with your copy of Foxy Tune, and it lets you special summon out either of your 2 punk monsters, giving you 2 monsters on your side of the field to go in for your copy of Needle Fiber, which is just super cool for this deck. We then play 2 copies of Edgem Chain. Edgem Chain is really good because when this card declares an attack, you can add Edgem Chain from your deck to your hand, and if this card is sent from your hand or your field to the graveyard, you can add a for card from your deck to your hand, which is always going to be for Patchwork that you're searching off this card to be able to get a Polymerization and another copy of Edgem Chain, which is just super good for this deck. We then play 2 copies of Kinkaboya. Kinkaboya is a great normal summon for the deck because when it's normal summon, you can special summon a level 1 monster from the graveyard, which is super helpful for this deck to be able to just normal summon this card to your side of the field, bring back your copies of Relinquished, your Golden Idol, any of the cards that you need, your Millenniumize Restrict, any of the cards that you want to summon. This card basically is a walking monster reborn. And then for the Needle Fiber cards, we're going to be playing a single copy of Colt Wing and a single copy of Despot 01 for the Auroradon and the Needle Fiber combos. Basically, you're always going to summon off your copy of your Despot 001 off your copy of your Needle Fiber, and then for the Auroradon to give you additional tokens and to bring back the copy of Despot 01, you're going to be using the copy of your Colt Wing to give you 2 tokens on your side of the field. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing 3 copies of E-Telly. E-Telly is one of the most important cards in the entire deck, which you guys will definitely see during the test hands, but this card is absolutely insane. Basically, just use this card, summon out one of your punk monsters to your side of the field, and then just go in to make an insane field that has like a Borreload Savage, a copy of Millenniumized Restrict, a Abyss Dweller, a Auroradon, and a copy of Cicada King on your side of the field. It makes an insane field, and this card literally is a 1-card play for the entire deck. This card is absolutely insane because it lets you special summon a level 3 or lower Psychic monster from your hand or deck, but banish it during the end phase. This card is nuts in this deck. We then play 3 copies of for Patchwork. This card is also a great +1 in the deck because it lets you add an Edgem monster and a Polymerization from your deck to your hand, which is going to be your Edgem Chain and your copy of Polymerizations that you play in the deck. We then play 2 copies of Polymerization. You know we had to use the original art for this build, but this card is really good because it helps you go in for your copies of Millenniumize Restrict super easy in this deck because it basically just requires a Relinquish plus any effect monster to go into. So if you already have a Relinquish in your hand and you draw into a copy of your Patchwork, you basically add Patchwork and use the effect of it to be able to grab Edgem Chain and your copy of Poly to then go in for a copy of Millenniumize Restrict, which is super good for this deck. We then play 3 copies of a Relinquished Fusion. This card is an insanely powerful card that has the ability to fusion summon an Eyes Restrict Fusion monster from your extract by banishing materials from your hand, field, or graveyard, and then during your main phase, you can banish this card from the graveyard, target 1 Eyes Restrict monster that you control, or target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, and equip that monster to an Eyes Restrict Fusion monster or Relinquished monster that you control as if it was equipped by its own effect, which is pretty good comboed with your copy of Millenniumized Illusionist because you can basically just equip any monster that your opponent controls to your Eyes Restrict and your copies of your Relinquished. We then play just 2 copies of the Black Illusion Ritual. The Black Illusion Ritual is really good in the deck, but you only really need 2 copies of this card. It's the ritual spell that you're going to be using summoning out your copy of the Relinquished monster, which is very important for the deck, but you do play 3 copies of Pre-Preparation of Rites, so you do have a really easy way to get to it because it has the ability to add a ritual spell from your deck to your hand and add a ritual monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand whose name is listed on that ritual spell card. So you just play this card to be able to get to your ritual spell and your ritual monster, so you really only need 2 copies of the Black Illusion Ritual. We then play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness just to be able to help us dig through the deck a little bit. It's a super good card for the deck since we play so many dark monsters in this build. You do want to play 3 copies of this so you can really dig into the deck to get to your copies of your Relinquished and your combo pieces like your Emergency Teleport. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing a single trap card in this deck, which is going to be a single copy of Dangerous Gaboo because it is searchable off your copy of Madam Spider. It has the ability you can target an effect monster your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of the turn. But if you do control a Punk monster, you gain life points equal to target monster's original attack. You don't have to have a Punk monster to activate this card, so basically it's an infinite impermanence that you have to set to your side of the field or a lost win, which is very good for this deck to be able to just play this card and get the exact monster negate that you need with this card card, also with it being searchable. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Millennium Eyes Restrict. This card is super easy to summon to your side of the field and is a really powerful card that requires a Relinquish plus any effect monster to summon this card. It's super easy to summon in this deck, and it's a really powerful boss monster because it has the ability that once per turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can target one effect monster opponent controls or in their graveyard and equip that target to this card. And this card gains attack and defense equal to the equipped monster's attack and defense, and it also has the ability that monsters with that equipped monster's name cannot attack and also negate their effects on the field that are activated, which is a pretty good effect to be able to just immediately negate the monster's effect. This card can get absolutely humongous because you can equip multiple cards to this card, and it's just a really powerful boss monster to put in this deck. We're then playing a single copy of Relinquished Anima because it's super easy to summon to your side of the field, and it can help you gobble up your opponent's monsters, which is pretty good that it points to. 1 copy of Needle Fiber. Needle Fiber is just super good in this deck because you can summon this card to your side of the field and summon out that copy of Despot 01, and then make your copy of Auroradon, which is going to give you the 3 tokens and give you all those insane plays with this card to go into some really awesome synchro plays. We're playing a single copy of Herald of Arclight because when it touches the graveyard, you can add a ritual monster, ritual spell from your deck to your hand, which is always going to be your copy of Relinquish that you're going to be searching off this card to get those really good plays. 1 copy of Cupid Pitch. Cupid Pitch is here because it helps us go in for a copy of Borreload Savage, and it has a really insane ability that if this card is synchro summoned, is sent to the graveyard, is synchro material, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the new synchro monster's level times 100, which is always going to be 800, and it also lets you add a level 8 or lower monster with 600 defense from your deck to your hand, which is pretty good because it's just such a good card to be able to just go in for this card and be able to search out your copies of Tour Guide, any of your punk monsters except for Foxy Tomb, or your copy of Sangan off of this card when it's used to summon out your Borreload Savage to set up your next turn. We then play a single copy of Dawn Dragster. I don't actually summon this card all that often in this deck, but it is a spell and trap negate if you do need it and you know your opponent's playing a bunch of different spell and trap negates. We're playing or spell and traps. We're playing a single copy of Borreload Savage in the deck. Borreload Savage is really easy to summon, and basically you just equip the copy of Needle Fiber to it when it's summoned to your side of the field, but you're going to summon this card off of a token plus a copy of your Cupid Pitch that's going to increase its level by the level of the Despot 01 when it's summoned to your side of the field, making this a level 5 plus your level 3 token. Makes your copy of Borreload Savage, which is really good, which you guys again will see in the test hand, but this card is really easy to summon to your side of the field as a 3750 attack point monster to be able to then go in with also having a negate on it. We then play a single copy of the Punk Amazing Dragon. It's super easy to summon to your side of the field. It's a really amazing card. It can be a double bounce or a monster reborn for a punk monster. So this card is a very awesome card to be able to play as a one-of in this build. Playing a single copy of Abyss Dweller. Again, very easy to make in this deck. Basically, you're using your copy of Coltwing plus your copy of your Herald of Arclight to make this card all the time with the combo that I've put into this deck, which you guys again will see in the test hand. Basically, this just locks your opponent's graveyard down. 1 copy of Fortune Tomb because you can make Zeus with it. 1 copy of Cicada King because it's a great negate and you can normal summon out Tour Guide and make this card super easy. And then a single copy of Zeus to board wipe just in case you need to board wipe. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to be able to play around with. It's super insane the combos that this deck can actually pull off, and I'm really excited to show you guys that in the test hands coming to the channel soon. If they're already out, you should definitely check them out and definitely give Mimi some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can come part of notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next videos. See you later, guys.